Well, we've made it to the weekend, and it's a windy one. And what is set up for K-State baseball? It's just the Big 12 opener. Utah's in town, new Big 12 team into baseball, and we're going to have crazy wind all weekend long. I'm a little surprised this game isn't moved to Saturday for a doubleheader. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk some K-State women's basketball. Where are the Cats going to land for the NCAA tournament with Selection Sunday coming up at 7 o'clock on ESPN? The NCAA and ESPN give their final predictions on where K-State will be. Are they going to host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament, or will they be going on the road? And where would K-State be going if they aren't going to be hosting and they will be a 5 seed? I think it's pretty clear K-State will be a 4 or a 5. But what do the experts think? What do I think? Am I an expert? I don't know. But we'll chat about it later on this hour. Alex Gordon, big day for Gordo. Of course, was a Royal for a pretty long time. Probably my favorite Nebraska Cornhusker in history, with the exception of the coach, Scott Frost. Going to the Royals Hall of Fame later on this summer. We're going to play Blindly Ranked 5. Alex Gordon moments a little bit later on. I'm out of here a little bit early. We're with you until 5:30, but I'm out a little bit early to get to Toyton Family Stadium. Troy Coverdale will take over for the abbreviated hour number 2. Jimmy Kaufman is across our glass running our board today. Phone lines, text line, 785-537-1350, which there was a question I wasn't able to get to a couple of days ago, but it does fit into our women's basketball discussion, so we'll get to that a little bit later on. Has to do with the net ranking, what it is, how it applies to K-State, and determining their spot for the NCAA tournament. Again, Selection Sunday, 7 o'clock ESPN for the women, CBS, 5 o'clock for the men. We will have coverage of the men's Selection Sunday right here on News Radio KMAN if you're not able to watch it wherever you're at. Boy, could this be a dream weekend for batters at Toyton Family Stadium or what? I don't know, because right now, and we are less than 2 hours away from first pitch, the Big 12 opener. It's just home game number 4 so far for K-State. The Utah Utes are in town, and we have 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 50, coming from south-southwest. And if you're familiar with Toyton Family Stadium, home plate out to center field is southwest to northeast. Now, it's mostly south. So, righties, how you feeling about this one? I'm excited to finally watch K-State baseball in person. They did not have a great week, midweek in Omaha. They lose by 1 run to the Creighton Blue Jays at the home of the College World Series and at Charles Schwab. And then on Wednesday, could not get the bats going. Just 1 run on 4 hits. Omaha, who has a losing record yet, beat the number 1 team in the country, the LSU Tigers, get the 4-1 win over the Wildcats. Now K-State just looking to bounce back, but also have a tremendous start in Big 12 play. You love K-State's chances with being at home. They hit a ton the last time they were at home. Maximus Martin did not have his best week so far this week. But he earned like a dozen Big 12 and National Player of the Week type of honors, hitting 5 home runs in the last weekend. But so far this week, he's 1 for 8 with numerous strikeouts. Let's see if the bats can come alive against the Utah Utes right out of the gate, which I'm very interested to see how fast can K-State get this going. They're going to be facing, right now, one of the best pitchers in the Big 12. That's who's going to start for Utah tonight. That's Coulter McAnally, who has one of the best ERAs right now as a starting pitcher at 2.13. This will be his 5th start of the year. He throws strikeouts. He's going to throw strikes. Now, the wind could be certainly a factor. Hitting also for Utah tonight, one of the best hitters in the Big 12. He was an all Pac-12 player a year ago. He transferred in last year, and now this year, Core Jackson, pretty sweet name. Core Jackson is hitting .431, but he is by far Utah's best hitter. Maximus Martin is hitting a little bit better than he is at .460. and he leads the Big 12, or was leading the Big 12 with 7 strikeouts. I don't feel like Utah's played anybody, though, this year. They have not played a home game yet. They're 11-5. They have played every single one of their games in the state of California. They spent a month in California, and now they're going somewhere for the first time where people aren't every sentence saying surfs up in Cowabunga. They're in the Midwest. They're getting their first taste of the new Big 12, a brand new conference, a little bit different than Pac-12 baseball. So I'm very interested to see what happens this weekend. Seth Dardar, Maximus Martin, and AJ Vasco. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this freshman in action. He has been super consistent. He, along with Maximus Martin, with the exception of the last 2 games, have been very consistent. But it's cool to see a freshman bat just kind of explode onto the scene. It's been pretty much mostly the transfers. When it comes to the bats, doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and then here comes a brand new kid. AJ Vasco, a true freshman, is lining it up right now. He had the grand slam at Creighton on Tuesday. He's got a hitting streak right now. He can hit nukes. Over-under tonight, home runs at Toyton Family Stadium. I'm going to set it at 5.5. I think things could explode today because of the wind, because of – I have to look at Utah's pitching here for a little bit because I don't know if they're giving up a ton of home runs so far this year. Actually, not really. Just 12 on the year. That's a pretty low number so far. But K-State can hit for power. Maximus Martin, one of my favorite stories of the year so far, and quite an endorsement for Austin Waits for K-State, is Maximus Martin worked so hard this summer and this fall on hitting for power, and we've seen him explode right out of the gate with that, and that has taken off. Pre-game coverage tonight will be at 5:30, first pitch at 6 o'clock from Toyton Family Stadium. Also want to give a baseball shout-out to former Royal Gordo. Alex Gordon announced earlier today that this summer he's going to be inducted into the Royals Baseball Hall of Fame. I want to talk to Jimmy for just a moment. I know you're busy right now. You're trying to work on things. You're training, but how old are you?
I'm a 20, turned 21 on Monday.
What plans do you have? Hold on. Let's stop right there. Pause on Gordo for just a moment. You're turning 21 on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah. St. Patrick's Day, baby.
What are the plans?
And
a spring break.
Oh, yeah. So I'll be back in my hometown of Olathe.
How about this timing?
Oh, I know. It's perfect. It's going to be awesome. But I'll be back in my hometown. I'm going to go. There's this place called Austin's Bar and Grill out by where I used to live that I used to go with my parents all the time as a kid. You know, after work, we'd go get a bite to eat, some chicken tenders, and going to go have my first drink there.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
On the milestone. So I wanted to bring you in because, of course, you're younger than we all are here. You're one of the youngest ones here. Actually, I think you are the youngest person that now works here at the radio station. You're from Kansas City. Mm-hmm. What does Alex Gordon mean to you? Because you would have been 10, 11, 12 years old when the Royals had their best run in program in franchise history, winning the pennant in both years, 14 and 15, winning the World Series in 2015.
Oh, yeah. Alex Gordon, growing up, he meant everything to me. He was my favorite player.
Really?
I have a little mini, because I used to go to a lot of games with my parents. We had season tickets for a while, 2013 season, all that. It got a little bit pricey after, the first World Series, but we still went to a good amount of games. And at one of the games, I got a collectible Golden Glove award thing that they were handing out. They hand out those little mini bobbleheads and whatnot, and they were handing out a little mini trophy of the Golden Glove. And I still have it with me to this day. I love Alex Gordon.
He's the man. He's not everybody's favorite hitter or anything. But when it comes to defenders and Royals history, he's no doubt one of the best.
Oh, he's incredible.
And an unorthodox maybe climb to his to his royalty status. No doubt about it, deserves to be in the Royals Hall of Fame. But I mean, he was drafted back in 2005. That's how long ago the story of Alex Gordon with the Kansas City Royals started. The draft of 2005. We're almost to that 20-year mark.
Wow. Since
he went from being a Nebraska Cornhusker to the Kansas City Royals. He gets his first start on an opening day, ends up being sent to AAA because he's not hitting well, And actually, that kind of launched, if I remember correctly, and maybe Troy would have to back me up on this, he's in the building. I believe him being sent down actually kind of opened up the opportunity for Mike Moustakas to move up and get an opportunity in the big leagues on the roster with the Kansas City Royals. But Gordo ended up making his return. Again, a 257 career batting average, but it's about all the gold gloves here. 8 gold gloves, 2 platinum glove awards, 14 seasons, and he finished up with the Royals retiring back in 2020. We're going to play some Blindly Ranked 5 about Alex Gordon, but do you have any favorite plays? Do you have any favorite hits? I think the hits are a bit easy. Can you think of a famous play that Alex Gordon had?
I'm trying to think. It's been a long time since
It's been
I've
a
watched
decade
some Alex Gordon.
since he was winning a World Series, although he played 5 more years. But
that might be something I have to get back to you on. It's been a while since I watched him when I was a kid. But
I remember he robbed Miguel Cabrera
Oh, yep.
of a home run, and it was just a nuke into the air. But I think it caught some wind and then just took a nosedive, and it was the most relaxed play at the fence of robbing a home run I think I've ever seen. And I think it was 2015. It may have been actually a year or two prior to that. It was a long time ago. But when you see the ball flying in the air it looks like it's going to land in the third deck. Nobody had a better eye for a fly ball or a frozen rope to left field and tracking it down than Alex Gordon. He has a full highlight reel of diving catches, foul territory, running towards the infield, or robbing home runs. If you want to go hits, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He had a couple of the biggest hits in Royals history ever. You know, the tying home run in the 9th inning against the Mets in Game 1 of the World Series in 2015. Make sure I'm not mixing these up. And then Game 7 of the 2014 World Series, you had the single that turned into a 3-bagger because of the error. It didn't go down as a triple; it went down as a single. Then an error on the center fielder that was charging it and completely overplayed it. I mean, an absolute minor league, bush league. I don't know what you want to call it. It was a horrible play by a veteran, and it rolls all the way to the wall, kicks off the wall. And if Gordon wasn't just a snail around the bases, does Jershely send him home? It still stands as one of the biggest what-ifs, but that was one of those plays. I never had a problem with him not being sent home. He was already huffing and puffing when he turned second base. Maybe if he came out of the hit, if he would have been running faster around first, but the thing is, he wasn't probably expecting the ball to go past the center field or roll all the way to the wall. But that was what a dream scenario that was. Bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, Game 7 of the World Series, you're down a run. That's every kid's dream. And Alex Gordon was unfortunately stranded on third base. Still to come, we'll blindly rank 5 Alex Gordon moments. Alex Gordon is going into the Royals Hall of Fame. That official induction ceremony, which it's going to be, I think, before a game. It'll be June 13th when the Royals play the A's at Kauffman Stadium. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we stop at K-State women's basketball. They're going to have a selection Sunday party at the Shamrock Zone on Sunday. Can K-State get a 4 seed? Is it going to happen? Are they going to fall to a 5? We'll get the expert opinion, and we'll take a look at what K-State could possibly be facing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. When Selection Sunday comes around, where the Cats land, we'll discuss next on The Game. I'm Mitch Fortner with a Game Sports update. The Royals announced today that Alex Gordo, a former left fielder, of course, with the Royals, has been elected to the team's Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted in a ceremony June 13th for the Royals play the A's at Kauffman Stadium. Gordo's now 41 years old. He'll become the 31st inductee of the Royals Hall of Fame that will receive a blue jacket, joining the likes of former manager Ned Yost and other team legends from George Brett to Bo Jackson. Played 14 seasons, finished his career in 2020. 8 gold gloves for Alex Gordon. High school hoops tonight, the Rock Creek Mustangs. The boys are in the semifinals of the 4A state tournament after beating Abilene on Thursday. They now get set for Andale in the semifinals. Cole Dutchendorf on the call tonight along with Jim Johnston on B1047. And the tip-off at 6 pregame coverage is at 5:45. Tonight on News Radio KMAN, as we get back to baseball, K-State opens up Big 12 play as they host the Utes of Utah for a 3-game series. It starts tonight, pregame coverage at 5:30. First pitch, 6 o'clock. Jacob Frost on the hill for the Cats. Coulter McAnally, who's 1-1 on the year, will start for Utah. All right, we're back. The game, Mitch Fortner and Jimmy Kaufman. And it's not spelled Kaufman as in Kauffman Stadium.
No, it is not. No,
Okay.
not the same.
COFF?
Yes, yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. He continues to train across the glass. Meanwhile, where's K-State going? Where's the women's basketball team? What's their fate for the NCAA tournament? Selection show is going to be, of course, Sunday. That's at 7 o'clock. It'll be televised on ESPN. K-State women's basketball, like they normally do, will be hosting a watch party, and you can attend if you feel like. If you want to hang out with the Cats and hang with them while they decide at that very moment where they're going to be heading. Will they be hosting, or are they going on the road for the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament? That'll be at the Shamrock Zone. Of course, that's the south end of the bill. The north end connects Bramlage Coliseum and Bill Snyder Family Stadium. If you are going, the doors will open at 6:30. Park in the northwest lot, the paved west parking lot of Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and enter through the northwest doors. And they're going to have a watch party, and it should be a good time. Of course, us media will talk to Jeff Mitty and Ayoka Lee, Serena Sundell, and company after they find out their fate. What are the experts? What are the last projections for the women's NCAA tournament from bracketology? You know, there's just not as much out there on women's basketball as there is the men. Men's basketball has 20 or 30 bracketologists out there doing their thing. A lot more metrics, a lot more of the kin palms out there. Women's basketball doesn't have much of that at all. Right now, the NCAA, as they have a person that does their bracketology, even though they also put out the bracket, has K-State right now as a 5 seed, and right now is the second best 5. That would be sending them to, by their projections, are going to be playing in Columbus, Ohio, and hosting would be Ohio State. Florida Gulf Coast would be their first opponent in a 5-12 matchup. Ohio State to be taking on Fairfield. The two winners meet up 2 days later, and it could be very well K-State and Ohio State. For Charlie Cream and ESPN, he has not moved K-State what it feels like for a couple of weeks now. He has not budged them. Has K-State taken on Missouri State as a 5 seed in Oxford, Mississippi, which is the home of Ole Miss. Now, the 1 seeds I think are clearly decided. Should be UCLA, South Carolina, Texas, and USC. You know, the 2 seeds are probably pretty well in place with UConn, NC State, TCU, Notre Dame. Does feel like the 3 seeds are pretty much in place. Like, it's not too crazy. It should be pretty well projected with Kentucky, Oklahoma, probably LSU, probably Duke. So it's not a huge revolving door of who it could possibly be. It's not like a roulette wheel and where's the ball going to land. There's 16 possibilities or whatever. That ball lands on this team and they get that Final Four spot. I don't know if it's that it's not that crazy. I only really truly believe there's only one 4 seed that is truly available. Of course, it's the last one, like the last 4 seed, and that's what Ole Miss currently has. I don't know about Ole Miss. I don't know if they should be a 4 seed. I haven't watched a whole lot of their play, but I did hear one of the arguments for Ole Miss as well. They've had a lot of close competitive losses to really good teams. If I was on the committee, I'm not really looking at a whole lot of close losses, if you know what I mean. But you just don't know, and that's the thing. You just don't know per team what is the committee going to value. If you just look at the net ranking, I mean, the net loves K-State despite only having 2 quad 1 wins. That's quite a bit less than a lot of the other teams that are in the top 16 of the net. I mean, you look 1 through 6, everybody has 13, 14, 15. Actually, some teams do have 6. One of those is UConn. They have the best net ranking in the country, right now projected to be a 2 seed. And you continue to scroll down a little bit, the only 2 teams in the top 16 or 15 or 14 that have less than 5 quad 1 wins is K-State and West Virginia. West Virginia, who beat K-State twice in the last couple of weeks, is actually projected to be like a 6 seed. Now, those doing their bracketology, they're not the selection committee. It's an educated guess. I do respect their guess. Again, I don't follow the Charlie Cream stuff as close as a lot of other people do. There's a lot of people that feel like Charlie Cream isn't very good at what he does, but I don't necessarily disagree with his assessment. I am first and foremost eye test. K-State has been putting out there that Ayoka Lee, of course, with the tweet yesterday, a couple of weeks ago with the press release, that Yoki is going to be back for the NCAA tournament. K-State's going to be back at full strength. And remember how good K-State was when they were intact? When Yoki was healthy, only lost 1 game, and that loss is to a team that's probably going to be a 3 seed or they're going to be hosting in the NCAA tournament, and that was Zook. So how much is K-State going to be hurt by not having Ayoka Lee for 13 games? K-State being a 500 team, a little over 500 team, went 7-6 without Ayoka Lee. They tried to bring her back and only was able to play 5 minutes, but she should be good to go. She's a full participant at practice. That was a pretty encouraging video that they put out there. And also, K-State without Ayoka Lee did get punched in the mouth a little bit there at the end of the regular season. Some really tough losses. The loss at West Virginia, the home loss to Baylor. I think Baylor stole the 4 seed from K-State. I think with Baylor getting to the Big 12, the final game of the Big 12 championship race, of course, making a run in the Big 12 tournament, beating K-State on K-State's home floor, handing K-State their only loss, and really thumped them. Baylor, even though they're going to be without a key starter as well, and that's a difference between those two, I still think Baylor was more impressive down the stretch without one of their key players in Little Paige Bugs. I think Baylor did jump K-State for that final, or maybe not the final 4, but one of the 4 seeds. Now, that doesn't mean that K-State couldn't get a 4 seed. I just think Baylor is one of those teams that took advantage of an opportunity, and they did an extremely good job without one of their best players. They did a better job than K-State did without one of their best players, without arguably their best player. They did a better job than K-State did without their best player here down the stretch. That's why I feel like Baylor has jumped K-State. And the other team is Ohio State. We could be surprised on Selection Sunday. Who knows what's going to happen? But right now, I do project K-State to be a 5 seed. K-State just went a longer amount of time this year without Ayoka Lee. And I just don't think it sets the right tone if you're putting K-State into a hosting position on the bubble, putting him in the host spot just due to the fact that a player is returning. Especially after she tried to make a comeback, got hurt again, and she missed another 5 games or something like that. I don't know. But I'm not the selection committee. They could absolutely value Ayoka Lee returning because there's no doubt about it. K-State was one of the best teams in the country with Ayoka Lee in the lineup. She's an All-American. She's a 2-time All-American. She is an All-Big 12 preseason player of the year. She's All-Big 12 first team multiple times. She was second team this year, and she didn't play over half of the Big 12 slate. They really honor her and respect her in the Big 12. That was certainly shown on the All-Big 12 teams. There's no doubt about that. But I do project K-State to be a 5 seed and go on the road. So where could they possibly go? Again, I'll give you the projected 4 seeds once again. You could see Chapel Hill, North Carolina. You could see Oxford, Mississippi, Ole Miss hosting. Although, if that were to happen, I actually love K-State's chances against Ole Miss. Undersized team. I totally like that opportunity for K-State to go. If they're going to go anywhere, I would pick Ole Miss. And other possibilities as well. Ohio State is one of those. I think those are your main 3. If the committee were to honor Alabama, like maybe sneak Alabama in there or Tennessee, I don't think K-State would be going there. But those could also be candidates for a 4 seed as well that could possibly beat K-State out for a Final 4 seed. But we're just not sure. I love Charlie Clearing's bracketology for Region 3. I love it a lot. I just don't want K-State in the same bracket as South Carolina. That's the one team. I'm like, if K-State were to run into a 1 seed, please not let it be South Carolina. Don't need to get overzealous, though. I mean, I would take Texas. I'd take USC for sure. UCLA. Sure, why not? K-State would just need to shoot very well from outside the arc because UCLA is pretty good at stuff like that. Just keep us away from South Carolina. And I think it was the NCAA.com and their gal that does the bracketology that had K-State going to the same region as South Carolina. No, thank you. No, thank you. And I'd be okay with avoiding Ohio State as well. That's a pretty good team that's playing very solid basketball right now. All right, let's take a break. So, again, everybody pretty much has K-State as a 5 seed. Let's keep our fingers crossed. We hope for a surprise on Selection Sunday, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Can K-State host for the 2nd year in a row? We'll find out. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, Troy Coverdale is going to be in studio. We will blindly rank 5 Alex Gordon moments to celebrate his induction, the announcement of his induction into the Royals Hall of Fame after these words.
Your News Radio KMAN weather forecast update. This afternoon, we have a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms, but it'll be partly sunny with a high near 76. It could get windy to as high as 50 miles per hour. Tonight, it'll be mostly cloudy with a low around 42, breezy with a south wind 10 to 20 miles per hour, could get as high as 30. Saturday will be mostly cloudy with a high near 52, breezy with winds as high as 30, and Saturday night, partly cloudy with a low around 27.
Troy, welcome back.
Greetings.
You're just in time to answer a fun text question we got from the 785. What is the net ranking? We actually got a couple of those texts. Can you explain the net ranking? Well, I was like, how much time do you have? It can be a little complicating.
It's a little easier to explain that, though, than the Facebook algorithms.
Well, that's probably fair.
So
actually, it wasn't that long ago. The net ranking actually was going off like five or six different things. It's down to 2. You have the team value index and the net efficiency. So it's just a couple of things, not 5 or 6 like it used to be. And it's like RPI. It's certainly not a perfect formula. There's some that don't like it, some that do. Probably depends on your situation. And it's not an exact science or anything. It's a data science is
basically
what the net ranking is. But I don't know if I could maybe try to explain it here real quick. I mean, basically, what it does it ends up ranking teams, right? And that's where the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 comes from.
That's where that comes from. Plus, you're dealing with schedules, strength of schedule, what your outcomes have been against teams that land in quad 1, quad 2, those types of things. Yeah, it's a convoluted mess that allows for people to go, well, if the net was here versus here, anyway. It allows for a few more talking heads to be able to do things such as talk bracketology.
Well, I thought it would be appropriate to bring you in, Troy, because you're going to take over for me when I leave here at the top of the hour for K-State baseball to get out to Toynton Family Stadium.
It's going to be a beautiful night if you don't blow away.
I was going to say, I mentioned that right out of the gate. We got a crazy wind gust coming out of the southwest. Of course, Toynton faces out to the northeast. So if you're a hitter, you're looking to hit some nukes tonight. And K-State they've already showed this year they can hit a few of those. Nice little start to their season, thanks to Maximus Martin and A.J. Vasco. Okay, so we're going to blindly rank 5 Alex Gordon moments. I'm sure when you think of a couple of plays that will show up on a highlight reel for Alex Gordon, they're going to show up in this list. If you don't know how blindly rank 5 works, I'm going to give Troy something to rank one at a time. He doesn't know what's going to come next, so he has to anticipate some things and just rank as we go. Simple enough. You've done this many times.
I've done it before.
All right, the first Alex Gordon moment through his Royals career, we go back to the 2014 World Series.
Here's the 0-1. That's in the air to left center. That ball is down. And it gets passed to the wall. Gordon is going to dig for third. A mistake in the outfield. And he will hold there with 2 out, representing the tying run.
So I mentioned this in the first segment. I mean, it's Game 7.
Wow.
Madison Bumgarner is on the mound, and that was a pitcher at the time.
I'm amazed.
That was unstoppable.
I'm amazed. Joe Buck actually got about 25 words in there where he didn't say a thing about Bumgarner.
Well, that's the thing. I cut out the Madison, the Bumgarner's, whatever, right before the pitch count and the throw. Mike Jerschley doesn't send Gordo home after the relay throw is approaching the infield. Were you a fan of him being held up at third when that happened? I was kind of, I don't know. I don't know exactly how I felt about that. Salvi was coming to the plate.
Welcome to baseball and the questioning forever about whether a call was right or wrong when it comes to something like that. It's easy to question that one, especially given the moment. It's forever going to be etched in everyone's minds. And it's going to be an item for debate among Royals fans forever. I mean, let's just face it. It is what it is. I understood it. I don't necessarily like it. I would have liked to have seen a little more aggression in that moment. But then it's pretty hard to argue with Mike Jerschley's body of work when it's all said and done. and he's in the moment as well, as opposed to us who are watching. It's a pure judgment call. He made his judgment, and unfortunately for the Royals, it wound up without a run.
Pablo Sandoval catches a pop fly in foul territory off Salvi's bat to end the game.
Oh, Kung Fu Panda.
So, Gordo's single, E8, Game 7 of the World Series, where do you rank that?
I'm going to rank that at number 4.
Wow.
Because it's notable, but it almost is a negative. Because of how it hurts Royals fans to know that could have been 2 titles in a row. Or at least could have been a play at the plate as opposed to holding a guy at third.
That would have been a more exciting finish.
Thank you.
That absolutely would have been a more exciting finish if Mike Jerschley is winding that arm up.
Mm-hmm.
But if Gordo wasn't so slow.
Well, okay, there's that.
This wasn't
as well.
Alcides Escobar.
There's also, it's not Lorenzo Cain coming around the base. Yeah.
It's not that what speed do.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't any of those guys. All right, so you put the Game 7 World Series 14, the single, at number 4. All right, here comes your second moment, and this goes down as one of the greatest catches in Royals history.
They're putting some doubt in their minds by the way they're executing, throwing strikes.
Whoa! No way!
What?
No way! He caught that! Did you see that?
Great focus, fully extended, said, I want to sit with you.
He bowled over number 4 in the White Sox uniform.
How about this? Where's he land?
When you hear that, no way, from Ryan Lefevre, do you picture that exact play? Do you know what that is without me saying anything?
I do not
you
off
don't.
the top, no.
So that was in April of 2015 when Gordo goes flying into the first row and the south side of Chicago to catch a fly ball.
You have
and
to
he caught it.
You have to remember that I didn't have access to being able to watch every night.
You were in a different market. That is correct. Okay.
So
I understand.
I'm just pointing that out. So that's why it would not be right off the top of my head.
But when it comes to like best Gordo catches, that may lead off the highlight reel.
I'm going to put that one at number 2 because it was an outstanding play. And when you look in that situation and you've got not only Ryan and Rex commenting on it, but Denny also noting that he ran over a guy in the White Sox dugout to get to that ball.
All right.
It definitely gets your attention.
You've called it. You put the fly ball catch early 2015 against the White Sox, flying into the stands at number 2. The single, bottom of the 9th, Game 7 of the 14 World Series at number 4. So you have 1, 3, and 5 open. Let's see here. Let's go to our third moment in Alex Gordon's run as a Kansas City Royal.
In the air to deep right. And the Kansas City Royals have taken the lead. Alex Gordon with a shot into the seats in right field, and the tie's been broken.
Camden Yards, that's Game 1 of the 2014 ALCS against the Orioles. And we're in the top of the 10th inning. We're tied, and Alex Gordon hits a solo home run to take the lead.
Personal selection of number 1 for a number of reasons.
Whoa.
Here's why. Let's first of all note that this is the first playoff run for the Royals in how many years? The second is that for so many years through the 90s and early 2000s, it always felt like Baltimore had this team's number. How many opening days in which Mike Boddicker beat Kevin Appier? So from a personal standpoint, me looking at it, that's a 1 because I love the fact that that occurred against the Orioles in their ballpark. The Royals got one over behind the bat of Alex Gordon.
That was also there was a Buck Showalter,
yes,
the manager of the Orioles. So that was a weird situation because Darren O'Day was the pitcher. He had been out there for a while, and let's see, that would have made it. I'm trying to think. So he's a righty, so it's not the best matchup for the Orioles.
Right.
and they decide not to make the change, and he gives up the home run, and the Royals end up winning Game 1 of that ALCS, which, of course, they swept that series.
Adds another thing to it in that beat Buck Showalter, no less, too.
All right,
That's always top of the line.
You have number 3 and number 5. Okay. We got a little bit of breaking news here. They're pushing K-State baseball. K-State baseball going to be pushed an hour. So heads up about that, getting pushed an hour.
Trying to kill off the wind.
Yeah, 6:30 pregame, first pitch at 7 o'clock. So big heads up about that.
That means you're in for the next hour, and I'll go take care of technical.
With nothing planned.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, that's okay. Okay, so let's continue on and play. Our fourth moment. Royals are down 4-3, 2 outs, and this happens against the Braves.
And now Alex calls for time. Like something flew into his eye. And Kimbrel didn't want to stop in mid-motion. He just throws it all the way to the screen.
Well, we know there are moths flying all over the place out there. And sure enough, there it goes. There's the moth. Hit him right in the eye. A super slow motion camera shows the evidence.
Gordo has runners at second and third, bottom of the ninth, in a big game against the Braves at Kauffman Stadium. 2 outs, and a moth flies into his eye on a 1-0 pitch.
I mean, it's not Jamie Bluma eating insects, but it's definitely, well, one of those things you'll only see happen in baseball. That's number 5.
All right, so you only have number 3 open. It's a predictable final pick here for a Alex Gordon moment in Royals history.
1-1 pitch. Swing and a drive in the air, deep to center. Back goes Cespedes at the wall. It's going to go. A home run for Alex Gordon, and the Royals have tied the game 4-4 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Jeurys Familia, for the first time this postseason, has allowed a run. A 1-out home run by Alex Gordon, and the fans in this ballpark are jumping.
I couldn't find the Royals call on that, unfortunately,
That's
so
great.
I found the Mets call.
Yeah, but I will say this, Howie Rose is one of the best in the game, and Mets broadcasts are all the better for it. He and Gary Cohen on the TV side are strong play-by-play guys, and it's enjoyable to hear that, as opposed to the comedy that was John Sterling at the Yankees broadcast for so many years. Anyway, so yeah, that winds up being my number 3, though, you know, again, you could go 1, 2, or 3 in either or of those slots, really.
I mean, that's maybe the biggest hit in Royals history.
Yeah.
It ties Game 1 of the World Series against the Mets, ends up sending the game to extras, and he hit it out to dead center.
I don't know. I think that there's a Dane Orge hit in there that, ranks still pretty.
Nah.
Before your time, I understand.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm.
And what year did that hit happen?
Yeah, that would be 85. Thank you.
Wasn't around for 85. Well, that's going to wrap it up for hour number 1. So it sounds like we're on with you for the rest of the show then. Until 6 o'clock, the Batcats pushing first pitch tonight to 7, and pregame coverage is at 6:30. And I have absolutely nothing planned. What were you going to talk about?
I was going to talk about the fact that there's kind of that feel in town this week, even with stuff that's going on with high school hoops and the like, that basketball is kind of a dead moment for us here until we get to Selection Sunday this weekend and talk about the women again.
All right, let's wrap up hour number 1 of the game. Hour number 2 coming up next. The game.
Your News Radio KMAN forecast. Tonight we're looking at mostly cloudy with a low around 42, breezy with winds getting as high as 30 miles per hour. Then Saturday it'll be mostly cloudy with a high near 52, breezy with west winds 15 to 20, could get as high as 30 miles per hour. Then that night it'll be partly cloudy with a low around 27, winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday it'll be sunny, high near 61, calm wind 5 miles per hour in the afternoon.
Have you ever heard a song and that song just made you really want to learn an instrument? I would love to learn saxophone just to play this saxophone riff.
You know, I used to play saxophone back in the day.
If you were to pick up one now, do you think you could still play it?
No, it was 5th grade.
Oh, yeah.
It was not very good.
Yeah, I gave the trumpet a try in 5th grade, and I was like, this is not going to get me as a member of Metallica, so I'm not gonna play this any longer.
When it was like my uncle's saxophone from, I believe, like the 70s. So it was super old,
nice.
kind of rusty, like just really squeaky. No redeemable factor.
Who's your favorite band?
My favorite band?
Yeah.
I'd say Kiss, because my mom's a huge Kiss fan.
Kiss?
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Oh, yeah. My mom loves Kiss.
Like still does?
Oh, yeah.
Huge
Oh,
fan?
she got like the Pez of the Kiss. She's got the whole thing. She goes to Rock and Brews like consistently. She loves it.
Very cool. You seen them in concert and stuff, or?
Oh, yeah. She's seen them multiple times.
I'm not going to lie. Gene Simmons is really starting to annoy me. I respect his work. Good at putting his own makeup on.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. But trying to say like rock is dead and stuff, like, yeah, maybe commercially it's not as big as it used to be. Yes, He was a part of the heyday of rock and roll when every genre was on top back in the 70s and 80s, more so the 80s. I like Kiss though; they're not too bad.
Well, not every genre is going to have their heyday all the time. You know, it's not dead; it's just muted, or maybe.
I could talk a lot of music. We may get to, I don't know. We'll see. A little bit later on. We're kind of flying by the seam of our pants here in the second hour with K-State baseball because of the win, and I'm still surprised they're even playing today. They're going to be moving first pitch to 7. That means pregame coverage at 6:30 here on K-Man. Guys, make sure at 5:45 to click over to B1047 because Rock Creek basketball semifinal at State, at 4A State in Salina. They're taking on Andale. And it'll be Cole Dutchendorf and Jim Johnston on the call. They'll have tip-off. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. All right, we got a caller. It's not just a caller. It's an interview. We have Kellis Robinette joining us from the Kansas City Star and Wichita Eagle, making a surprise appearance on the show. Kellis, what kind of music did your parents listen to when you were growing up?
All kinds of stuff. Nothing I loved too much, though. I remember my mom really liked Bette Midler back when she was singing. I didn't love those albums. Those CDs when we were riding around in the car. And my dad was all more classic rock, like the Beatles and stuff like that.
My mom would listen to 90s. Well, I was a 90s kid. Would listen to country music, and I was okay with it until she started singing. I'm like, Mom, please. I know we're the only two in the car, but I am embarrassed. Please quit. People are going to pass us and see you singing. But I do kind of like 90s country now. Did you ever play an instrument growing up?
Yeah, not for too long, but I was in my middle school band, and I played the tuba for 2 glorious years. I can still remember some of the finger combinations and stuff. That and a recorder when I was very young. I think I tried to learn piano for a while and just wasn't getting it.
I remember
that's not the extent of it.
My final in a music class one time was you had to play a memorized song on the recorder, and I never sweated a final that much in anything else in my entire life, but I crushed it.
Got to go hot cross buns.
Hot cross buns?
Wow, well,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, a total classic. There was one time I took my kids to Wendy's, and they all got kids' meals, and the toys were recorders. And the ensuing days were some of the worst of my life.
Yeah.
All the music going on in our house. So curse Wendy's for giving away that as a toy. Much more fond of McDonald's than their Pokemon cards or whatever they have.
Well, Callis, season comes to an end for K-State men's basketball. A little surprised that they're not going to be playing any postseason basketball, or at least electing not to accept any invites like to the Basketball Crown or anything.
Yeah, I thought they would be willing to play in the Vegas tournament, but I understand why they're not. The reason I thought they would play was because most of the players outside of the front court, seniors like Coleman Hawkins and David Gasson, you could see those guys wanting to stick together for another week or two and play, and especially with Jerome Tang's stated vision of bringing back as many players as he can. This year, even more so than last year, would have been beneficial to play in a postseason tournament. But as I mentioned, if you don't have Coleman Hawkins and you don't have David Gasson, and the two backups in the front court are two of the most likely players to transfer, you're looking at going to that tournament with no bigs, and that doesn't sound very fun. So I can see why they would prefer just to go ahead and focus on other things right now.
Were you around when Coleman Hawkins had his 90 seconds of that video went viral? He was very emotional. He felt like he let K-State fans down. Were you in the locker room for that?
Yes, I was asking him the questions at the time, and it was rough. When I walked in, I could tell he was very emotional. Had his head buried in his shirt. I wasn't sure if he'd even be up to talking for a little while, but I gave it a shot. Walked up and said, "Hey, Coleman, I know it's tough right now, but are you willing to do an interview?" And he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I just asked him, "What are your initial reflections on your long season at Kansas State?" He thought about it for about 30 seconds, fought back tears, and then gave that answer, crying the whole time. Definitely showed his emotion right there.
Had you ever been around a player that just wrapped up his season that emotional before?
I've seen some people tear up, probably not to that degree, especially just given the circumstances involved. When I've seen other players get emotional, it's usually in the NCAA tournament. The times I've seen Kansas State lose in the Elite Eight, one step short of the Final Four, obviously there's so much disappointment involved with that. You can understand why guys would be emotional. I wasn't expecting that many tears from a player after bowing out of the Big 12 tournament. The odds of them reaching March Madness and winning the Big 12 were so slim, but it just showed me just how much belief Coleman Hawkins had in this team. I mean, he was willing to play with a fractured tibia, a broken leg, just to try and get this team to the NCAA tournament. He genuinely thought they could do it. So to me, that just signaled how much he cared and how much he wanted it. And to hear him, talk about how much he regretted looking at social media and letting NIL criticism bring him down, just kind of shows the regrets he had during the season here as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of those moments that Coleman was clearly dealing with the outside noise. He struggled to block it out. He made comments to me during Big 12 Media Day that had been kind of a thing in the past for him. And now we saw kind of multiple times. Also just people getting under his skin, like Cam Carter in the LSU game, where Coleman was pretty pissed off and ended up pushing Doug, and because guys were trying to hold him back. An emotional year, no doubt about it, for Coleman Hawkins. The struggles that K-State had this season, would you call them a Coleman Hawkins issue, or was it just simply team issues? It was a team issue. They all had their own inconsistencies. How would you describe that?
Yeah, definitely not a Coleman Hawkins thing. If you want to, the season was a disappointment. It was a mediocre team, but it wasn't Coleman Hawkins' fault. And I'll say, if you think it was his fault, just imagine where the team would have been without him. What did they win? Like 7 games? He was a really good ad for Kansas State. His problem was that everybody knew how much money he was making and expected more. You can certainly say he didn't live up to his $2 million NIL contract, but he was a good player. He was, outside of David Gasson, I would say their second best player. If you would have transplanted him onto another team where he could be the number 2 or the number 3 guy and keep things flowing, and nobody was, demanding $2 million worth of results around him, I think he could have been a great super senior and gone out in a totally different way. As it was, there's just too much being put on him with the other bigs that Jerome Tang brought in thinking could help him, did basically nothing. And Chor was here for a few weeks and left. Ugo was hardly worth playing at the end of the season. So, I mean, instead of having 3 very reliable bigs next to David Gasson, you had Coleman Hawkins, and, Moby was the guy they were relying on to come off the bench and give minutes. So I think, they just didn't compile a good enough roster during the off season, and the pieces that they did have come in and were good didn't totally mesh the way they envisioned. You certainly saw when they played their best, they were good. I mean, that 6-game winning streak was amazing. The problem was it just came out of nowhere, couldn't sustain it. And, I think that's probably somewhat typical for a team that had 2 newcomers and was slapped together with only a few months of practice heading into the season. I think if you gave them a do-over and gave them more time with Jerome Tang, maybe things would have been different. But that's just kind of the circumstances we're in right now.
Yeah, a couple of years of a handful of what-ifs. There's no doubt about that. If you don't lose to Wichita State, you don't lose to a Drake. There's a few more what-ifs, and it certainly helps out what they were able to do in Big 12 play, go 9-11. I mean, that is a resume, at least conference play, that could get them into the NCAA tournament. Non-con was a big issue. Let's go back to that 6-game winning streak, because you reminded me of something I talked about yesterday, and it was, like I just mentioned, kind of the breakdown of the season where it went wrong. But going back to that 6-game winning streak, after they beat an Iowa State on the road, they beat Arizona at home, they beat KU at home, they got that KU game at the right time. I mean, I know you're an unbiased journalist, but I guess how bought in were you at that time that maybe Jerome Tang did kind of figure something out? Maybe they did get this thing turned around and a leaf has been turned and K-State's on the right track. Did you believe that this team was a changed team?
I did. You could certainly tell the difference between, say, when they were losing to Wichita State by 19 compared to that winning streak. I mean, it was totally night and day. So they certainly got some things figured out and were heading in the right direction. Did I think they were going to make it all the way to the NCAA tournament? No, I thought they'd fall short. But at the same time, one thing I am curious about is Coleman Hawkins suffered broke his leg in that Utah game midway through, finished it out, didn't look very good. Then he missed the next 3 games, and those are games that, at the time you think, hey, they got a pretty good shot at winning these. They're against Arizona State at home, UCF on the road, and then I guess they did beat Colorado and Cincinnati. But if Hawkins is at full strength, there's a chance they don't lose to Utah. There's a chance they don't lose to Arizona State. There's a chance they don't lose to UCF. Add 3 more wins to this thing, and, the story looks a little different. So that's another kind of buyer's remorse thing there. One thing I will say that Jerome Tang told me in Kansas City was that he really just blamed himself for not figuring things out earlier because, like you mentioned, if they don't lose to Wichita State, if they don't lose to Liberty, if they don't lose to LSU in the early season, it's maybe a different story too. So a lot of what-ifs there. Definitely started bad. I mean, they were not a good team earlier in the season. I will say they were very good at times late, just kind of inconsistent. And when you dig yourself a hole, you just give yourself no room for error.
I'm with you when you mentioned the bigs probably going to transfer out. Ugo, Byfall, By rode the bench. Caleb Rich, barely saw any playing time after the loss at Oklahoma State. He appeared in maybe 2 games or whatever it was. And, Jerome Tang mentioned after one of the games here late in the year that he didn't get the effort out of Buddy, and we didn't see him the rest of the entire season. But meanwhile, like a Doug McDaniel, let's say, if Max Jones is able to get his waiver for being previously playing at the D2 level, a CJ Jones, so on and so forth. Do you have a player that's above all when it comes to, because right now coach is trying to retain as many guys as he can potentially, especially at the guard positions. to stay and build around them. Is there one player that needs to be retained more than the others right now?
I mean, I think, unfortunately, when we asked him in Kansas City, is he coming back, he said yes. I also asked this player if he would be willing to play in the NIT or the Vegas tournament. He said, absolutely, I'm all in. And the more I can play with this team, the better. And that's Doug McDaniel. I think when you talk about their 6-game winning streak, why were they so good during that run? It was because he was playing at an extremely high level. Couldn't, keep that going before and after, but he showed his ceiling there. And even in the Big 12 tournament, he scored double figures, I believe, in both games. So he's been through the fire with Jerome Tang. They did not, see eye to eye, and they butted heads early in the season, figured things out, and ended the season on a high note, at least from a personal perspective. So I think bringing him back at point guard, having a point guard in the system for 2 years who knows Jerome Tang and has already, gone through boot camp and all this stuff with him, I think would be a very big bonus for this team coming back. And then if you can, if you can put him aside 2 or 3 of these other guards who come back, then that'd be a nice nucleus to build.
Do you like Doug's floater? I don't know if I like it very much.
Floater, not really. I'm more of a fan of when he banks it off the glass, like when he jukes the guy out of his shoes, and the big man comes over to help, and he just throws it off the backboard. That's what I like. The other shots, yeah, I'm with you. Not the greatest.
But I mean, I think both are just kind of low percentage shots. It's just not like the toughness that you had with certainly Marquise Noel, and then kind of coming late, but from Tyler Perry, I don't know why. If that's just his style, okay, I get it. If that's his comfort zone, I get it. But I just think it doesn't get him to the free throw line. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree with that. Maybe I'm just remembering too fondly the 6-game winning streak where every single one of those shots he put up went in. I will give you that there were other games where those weren't falling, and yeah, if you're not getting the free throw line, then you're not getting any reward out of it. But yeah, something he can work on this off season. Yeah.
And the 3-pointer. That was super inconsistent as well.
I mean, he could work on everything, but his ball handling was good. I think he was good as a driver in certain situations, and on certain games when he could hit the 3, he was a big help. But that's something the whole team needs to figure out. I'm not really sure exactly what happened there. Coming down to the end of the season, everybody was bad from the 3-point line. Brendan looked great early, couldn't make a shot late. Max Jones looked great early, couldn't make a shot late. Doug, was only a 2-point guy. I can't remember the last time David Gasson made a 3. That's just weird. They made a bunch of 3s when they were winning, missed a lot when they were losing. So finding some consistency there would also help.
All right, Kel's going to put you on the spot on the last question because I'm sure, of course, we probably won't have you on again until sometime after the NCAA tournament. We're going to take some time off from the show as well while the NCAA tournament's going on. Who do you have winning it all? Who do you think is going to win a national championship this year? I mean, the Cooper Flag story right now, with Duke being really good, is quite interesting. Who's one of your favorites to win the NCAA tournament this year?
I like Duke to win it all of the favorites. I think they're the team to back. If Cooper Flag, for some reason, is more hurt than they're saying and he can't play, I might rethink that. But pretty much ever since they lost to Kansas earlier this season, every time I watched them, they just killed people. And I know that's in the ACC where they're down and whatnot, but they just look so good. If Cooper Flag comes back healthy, I think it's going to be hard for anybody to knock them off. If you're looking for a dark horse, I like BYU. I think they have been on some kind of tear lately. You talked about Kansas State not making threes. BYU makes threes, and they make a lot of threes. And they also play, their coach is an NBA guy. They play like 11 and 12 guys a game. They don't get tired. They're built for tournaments. I think if they get hot, they could be a team that could get to the Final Four. So favorite would be Duke. My favorite long shot would be BYU.
Yeah, Richie Saunders trying to make that late run to Cooper Flag as the fun white guy to watch. He's hitting the threes. He's a fun guy to watch. He's went on a tear ever since that win over K-State than a win over KU. As a KU fan, how are KU fans doing with maybe looking at, I don't know, what was a 6 seed in the Big 12 tournament, maybe looking at a 6 seed-ish for the NCAA tournament? Are KU fans doing okay?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't met any that are like looking to jump off a cliff over the season, but when you think that when you look at Bill Self's history, he's been there for 20-plus years. They've never been worse than number 4 seed, and right now they're looking like they could be a 7 or an 8. This is uncharted territory for them, and I think people over in Lawrence are just kind of tired of watching Hunter Dickinson, and even though DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams have given them some good moments, I think they're ready for just all these guys to move along and see what's coming next. So I don't sense a whole lot of excitement about the NCAA tournament for the Jayhawks. And I can't say I blame them. I really don't think they can get past the round of 32 this season.
All right, Callis, appreciate this impromptu conversation. Appreciate your time, sir. We'll see you soon.
All right, Mitch. Always good talking to you. Stay grounded. Don't let the wind blow you away out there.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. That's Callis Robinette, Kansas City Star, Wichita Eagle. Interesting thought. Maybe it's like a poll question type of thing. I hate to phrase it this way, but I'm only bringing it up because I think Hunter Dickinson is the answer. Who's more disappointed, K-State fans with Coleman Hawkins or KU fans with Hunter Dickinson?
I would say Hunter Dickinson.
I think it's by far and away Hunter Dickinson. I don't think it's even close.
Well, it's weird because the disappointment from K-State fans, I think, is more emblematic of the team as a whole. Coleman Hawkins has still been putting up relatively really good stats, I would say, so, across the board.
Yeah, I promise you, Coleman's situation only blew up. First of all, I mean, yes, he was brought in to be like the guy, right? He was supposed to be the best player, which, looking across the board, probably was the best player. K-State would have been absolutely screwed without Coleman Hawkins. David Gasson was the most consistent player for K-State. If it just didn't get out, and I think it was by his agent. I think it was Coleman's agent that got it out there that he's going to make $2 million this year, just kind of a base NIL to come to K-State. That, yes, the story is going to be a little bit different. But I think, I've heard some numbers. Let's just say that Coleman Hawkins, or not Coleman, Hunter Dickinson is making a bag this year.
Yeah. And
the reason I'm not bringing it up is, first of all, I was told off the record, and also I don't know how, 100% it is. KU fans will lose their minds.
Yeah, and the thing with Hunter Dickinson is that I think even though last year there was a couple of shoddy moments with Hunter, I think he has regressed at least a little bit in his game, kind of all around. And I think that also has to do with KJ Adams and DeJuan kind of regressing along with him. But he has looked worse this year.
I agree. I have to go look at numbers. I don't have them on the top off the top of my head here, but I do agree. I think his baseline play is not as smooth. He's a big hook shot guy. That typically is that's still kind of a trusty move for Hunter Dickinson. It's not too bad. It's KJ Adams. KJ in his scoring, it's KU fans are fed up with KJ Adams. For a guy that's also playing one more year, this is his last year, who is a great defender. KJ Adams can defend all 5. He's really good at that end of the floor. Offensively, it has taken him 4 months to get going. He had a pretty good night the other night, and I don't remember what they did against Arizona. I know that was a KU loss. I just don't know what he scored against Arizona. I didn't pay that close attention, but he was just so bad offensively. It's like, should we bench this guy? But he did not play against K-State, right? In that first meeting in Allen Fieldhouse, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think he was out. I would say absolutely the issue for KU fans compared to K-State and Coleman, and I've been reading comments and stuff. I know that doesn't represent everybody, but there's been a lot of love. Ever since that video got out, it went viral. National media outlets are picking it up. They're running with it, talking about Coleman Hawkins. It's the story of how do we learn from this? What lessons are learned from Coleman's value and how much he's making getting out there, how that's going to affect student athletes, which with revenue share, that's going to extremely expand, just kind of a base from the universities. That's going to greatly expand, and we're going to know probably a lot more than we wish we did. Yeah, if that just doesn't get out there, I mean, the story has completely changed. I mean, heck, Jalen Daniels is like another story of like, I think you would be blown away. Like, there are like rumors out there, and they were true about what Jalen Daniels makes. You're like, why is this guy coming back for another year? He's talented, but it's like, this isn't probably the guy for what he's getting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
one of the craziest changes to me in the new NIL world of college of football and basketball is that the headline that ESPN wrote about it was Jalen Daniels agrees to a new deal with KU, which I think is just such odd wording in the world of college athletics. But that's just that's the new reality coming back. What is he now? 6th-year senior?
Jalen, no, I think he's actually this year technically a junior. He may be a 5th year.
Well, Jalen Daniels?
Yeah.
I thought
he was listed, I think, officially as a junior this year.
Oh,
like
man.
Him coming back isn't like a COVID thing. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know exactly what it is. I could pull it up here real quick. So, yeah, actually, he will be a 6th year.
Man.
So I don't know if he must have got a waiver when he got hurt 2 years ago, and he got paid 7 figures for that year.
Goodness.
He got paid 7 figures for that year. All right, we got to take a break. More of the game when we come back. We are going later than we were expecting today because K-State baseball has been pushed. Pregame at 6:30. First pitch tonight, 7 o'clock for the Batcats, taking on Utah. Game 1 of their series at Toyton Family Stadium. All right, let's go ahead and take a timeout. More of the game next on KMAN. I'm Mitch Fortner with the Game Sports Update. Due to high winds, K-State baseball will be pushed an hour, so that means first pitch is at 7 o'clock, and pregame coverage will be at 6:30 here on News Radio KMAN from Toyton Family Stadium as the Wildcats open up Big 12 play officially tonight as they have Game 1 of 3 against the Utah Utes. Game 2 is on Saturday, scheduled for 4 o'clock, and then the finale on Sunday is still scheduled for 1 p.m. Speaking of baseball, out of Kansas City, technically out of Surprise, Arizona, Kansas City Royals former left fielder Alex Gordon has been elected to the team's Hall of Fame, and he will be inducted in a ceremony before the game on June 13th, as the Royals will be hosting the A's at Kauffman Stadium. Well, Gordo had a career batting average of .257, but in the field, he's one of the best ever in franchise history. 8 Gold Glove, 2 Platinums. He was a Royal for 14 years. Retired in the year 2020. And tonight, with pregame coverage about 7 minutes away on B1047, it is a semifinal game of the 4A state tournament in Salina on the boys' side. Rock Creek taking on Andale, and it tips at 6 o'clock. The game continues as we are now doing an impromptu hour. We are with you until 6 o'clock. Mitch Fortner and Jimmy Kaufman, who's from Olathe, who was a big Alex Gordon fan growing up. His childhood hero is about to become a Hall of Famer. So we got to get you in the building then. We got to get you to Kauffman Stadium coming up on June 13th to take on the A's.
Oh, yeah. I'm probably going to get tickets. Probably see if I can go.
About to turn 21 years old. About to have the biggest day of your life.
Yeah, the days move slower and slower as we get closer and closer here.
Oh, yeah, you're probably counting down the minutes, right?
Yep,
Wait,
every minute.
So you officially turn 21 on Monday. Sunday, are you going out? So, I mean, no school. It's spring break, St. Patrick's Day. Are you going to be like, at the bar, the clock hits midnight, barkeep?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hook me up.
I actually did not think about that. I was just planning on going out on Monday, hitting the DMV and then doing whatever comes after. But that's not a bad idea, actually. That's a good idea. So I don't know. Maybe plans will change here soon. I don't know.
I had a friend of mine that turned 21 on Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
And went out on Christmas Eve like, hey, we got to do this. So, well, it was the 23rd, and then the clock flips to the 24th. What the bar didn't say is like, actually, we're closing.
Oh.
It's Christmas Eve. I was like, well, but it's still the 23rd. Like, why are you not staying open? Like, yeah. I don't know. We're giving our employees early time to go home or whatever. I was like, it's midnight.
Yeah.
Where are they going? I was like,
what are they up to?
It's like, let's go. Let's pour these shots. It's time to party. It's 21. This guy just turned 21.
We're trying to have a holly jolly Christmas over here.
Mitch Ford and Jimmy Kaufman carrying you until 6 o'clock. My 21st birthday was about the least exciting thing you could possibly think of.
Really?
Because that day I moved back to Concordia for another semester of school. On my 21st birthday, I moved, and then it's Concordia, so you're like, what are you going to do? It's a Monday. Am I going to sit home and watch Monday Night Raw? Probably not. So it's like, where can I get a drink? There's a Pizza Hut open.
Hey!
I'm hungry. My first legal drink was at the Pizza Hut in Concordia. I had a bottle of Coors Light, and a buddy of mine who wasn't 21 at the time, still 20, he bought it for me, and he bought the pizza.
Wow. Hey, free pizza.
And then, of course, I had to hook up my friends who were not old enough to drink yet. I had to hook them up. We had to have a good time before we had an orientation or whatever, or first classes at like 9 a.m. So I bought a 30-pack of Coors Light, which was what was very convenient was right behind my house, across the alley, was a McDonald's and a liquor store.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's the perfect setup right there. because you have the place to go get the libation, and then you have the thing to go with it. You get a McChicken,
The gal at Pizza didn't even check any licenses. It's like, listen, we're just kind of eyeballing this thing. It's the eye test. You have a beard, so we're going to let it pass.
Deal, yeah.
So that's going to be a fun night. You going out with a bunch of friends?
Yeah, I'm going out with actually family and friends, so it'll be kind of just one big hodgepodge of people, of my loved ones, which will be great.
Okay.
I still don't know what the first drink's going to be, though. I haven't really thought about. I've thought about it a little bit, but I haven't thought about it.
Who's buying it? Are your folks going to buy it?
Probably my folks, yeah.
Yeah. I was a bit of a jerk to my parents because I was like, listen, my friends want to go go do some fun stuff. My dad's like, well, we got to have a beer though. So we had a beer, and then I was an immature 21-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I did not give my parents the time they deserved to be with me and hang out on my birthday. So I was just too worried about hanging out with my friends and stuff. But,
Well, and the thing with my birthday and the way it lines up is I'm not traveling anywhere for spring break this year. So a lot of my friends are. So it's just kind of the friends who are in town. We're going to get together, and then when friends come back, we'll have kind of another mini celebration of everyone who wasn't able to make it the first time.
if you were traveling with your friends, where would you be going?
Ooh, I heard Florida. I got a good friend of mine.
Cliche spring break places.
Oh, yeah. A couple of my, really good friends from, when I was 2 years old. They're going to, one of them's going on a cruise to, I believe, the Bahamas. And they got, the drink ticket thing there, too. They just turned 21 about 2 weeks ago, actually, just 2 weeks ago. So they're going to celebrate that on a cruise, which is pretty nice.
How was Fake Patty's Day this year?
Fake Patty's Day this year? I found it pretty relaxed. It was one of those. Raton Avenue was not what it has been in past years until the Ginger Run. I'm sure you're
Raton is an avenue. Is that right?
Is it not?
Raton Street?
Oh, it's a street. I thought it was an avenue.
I don't know many avenues around here.
Oh man. Well, I guess Raton Street. I don't know. I just kind of assumed it was avenue. It just sounded right.
I think Raton Avenue sounds better.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I mean, if you need me to do the naming conventions around here.
Is anybody from the city commission listening?
Yeah, if you're listening,
change.
I have plenty of suggestions. Raton Avenue, all the good stuff.
I was looking at the arrest report. I was like, this doesn't seem like very much.
No, and I've thought about it a lot because it was one of those I could not understand the PR angle they were going for of being like, we're going to get all of you. I'm like, you're not going to do that because it's so many people fly in, drive in, and then also the people who go to Kansas State are all kind of a part of it. I was like, it's impossible to do what you're trying to do. And then the day of, there were people taking pictures with the police officers. There's, they're just kind of walking around, waving at people, all that. And I maybe saw one citation in person because someone was walking around with a Borg. And it's like, well, yeah, you're going to, yeah, duh.
I may be wrong about this. I think the heyday of Aggieville, Fake Patty's Day, I think the peak was a long time ago. I think it just doesn't seem as, this is going to be a cool word, but hoppin'.
Hello.
As much as it used to.
Hoppin'.
I don't go out very often. I've maybe been out in Aggieville once or twice the last calendar year. Lindsay and I, we go do something or whatever. It's a Saturday night. It just doesn't seem that busy like it used to be anymore. Or there's just 2 bars that are super popular anymore.
See, from what I was told, because I ended up, I didn't go out personally because if I go out to Aggieville, I'm just going to stand there. Because I still was not able to leave.
You don't know how to two-step or anything. Go to Dirty Dogs
I could do a good 2-step, but it's I couldn't have a drink while I was out there, and I can't do that yet. Next year,
Jimmy can't party without a little relaxer.
Okay, no, that's not. I can party
without
without
blood a little bit.
I can party without a relaxer. I chose not to.
We're playing beer pong with water.
Exactly.
Is it K-State? What is this?
What is this, Kitty College? No way. No, but from what I was told, one of my buddies, I believe it was South Hall, if that's the correct band. I don't know them too well, but they were playing at the Hat. And my roommate went to that performance at the Hat and said it was a really good time. They went for 2 hours. It was really long. And then he came out and he said that it was just a zoo at about probably 10:30 p.m. at night. So I don't know. I heard it was really, really busy towards the night part, and from what I saw, it didn't look too busy during the daytime.
Do people still get up at 6 a.m. and crack the first one and
I get up at 7?
That's late.
Oh, well, I guess I got to do it at 5 a.m. next year then.
Well, so you work you're with Wildcat 91.9, right?
Yep.
Swick would probably have to back me up here, but didn't 91.9 come up, started Fake Patty's Day?
Actually, the name we did some research on this over at Wildcat 91.9 You Belong, where
I'm pretty sure Swick knows the actual person
the creator
that got the thing all started.
The creator of the Fake Patty's Day tradition was by the name of Patrick Atchity.
That would be Pat Atchity, Drew Bartlett, and
Yes.
Aaron Liker.
There you go.
I was there for the first one and the second one because I'm old. But yes, no, it was in
2000s.
Yeah, we started it in 07. So it was a collaboration. Pat actually worked. I think he was actually the manager at the time of Tubby's, back when they.
Oh, we getting some feedback somewhere.
Yeah, back when they had a food kitchen still. So way back in the day. But so Pat worked. They were missing out on the students because St. Patrick's Day always hit when everybody's on spring break. So we're like, let's do it before they leave. And it wasn't like the first couple of years were crazy, but it wasn't what it grew into by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, it was intense. I had my fill the second year. But yeah, we were out early. We bounced around all the bars. We had T-shirts. There may or may not be pictures of me at Rusty's on
Without
Facebook.
a shirt?
No, I doubled up because it was kind of cold and I'm fat. So no shirts came off.
I remember having a house party one time. It wasn't my house, but I was a part of it. It was my group of friends that were having a house party. And at one point, we probably had 250 people.
Oh, wow.
And
Very nice.
it was a BYOB. That was not the plan.
It kind of grew out of your control a little
Because
bit.
I'm pretty sure we invited maybe 20 people.
Did you tell them to bring friends?
Well, no, just maybe they brought friends and then they brought fans, their friends brought friends, but it just blew up and all of a sudden the backyard was filled up, the first floor. This place had a basement. Guys, this isn't good, but nothing happened. We didn't try to break it up or anything. It would naturally disperse at some point.
Yeah.
But it did last for a long time. But that was kind of used to be the appeal of Fake Patty's Day was the house parties. But I think that's actually really all it is now because it's just not as celebrated with the Aggieville, around Aggieville anymore as much as it used to.
Yeah, I mean, the Aggieville Business Association has disassociated itself from it.
There you go.
It's really like Yard Bar and the like that are really pushing it. Maybe O'Malley's as well.
Yeah, I believe Tubby still does a lot for it.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to figure out that feedback. But old Jimmy, the reason we're talking about this is because Jimmy's turning 21 on Monday, and he's got a big party set up with his friends and family in Kansas City. And at some point, they'll have a second party with Alex Gordon in June when he goes into the Hall of Fame.
He's coming up.
All right, let's go ahead and take our final break, and we'll wrap it up. We'll ask us anything. Also hit the headlines as well. Alex Gordon along with K-State women's basketball. They have Selection Sunday coming up. We'll wrap up the game next on News Radio KMAN.
Your News Radio KMAN forecast. This afternoon, we're looking at a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny with a high near 76. Wind gusts could get as high as 50 miles per hour. Tonight, it'll be mostly cloudy with a low around 42, breezy with south winds getting as high as 30 miles per hour. Saturday, it'll be mostly cloudy with a high near 52, breezy, wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Saturday night, we are looking at partly cloudy with a low around 27.
Jimmy, were you a wrestling fan at all growing up?
You know, I was never a big wrestling fan.
All right, we'll skip that part of it then. Do you want to hit the highlights here just a second, or here in just a moment? Right now, pregame coverage of Rock Creek basketball against Andale going on. Looks like here very soon. They may have had a little bit of a delay with the previous game, but if it's not on right now, it's starting super soon. I promise you that. Rock Creek and Andale semifinals of the 4A state tournament in Salina. Alex Gordon going to be going into the Royals Hall of Fame. That was announced earlier today. That induction ceremony before the game on June 13th when the Royals host the A's at Kauffman Stadium. You know, the other thought I had earlier today, just kind of the last little preview before we have Selection Sunday for the women. That's on Sunday at 7 o'clock, ESPN. K-State women's basketball will be hosting a watch party at the Shamrock Zone, so come out for that. I'll be there for sure to witness the K-State women at that time, figuring out what their fate is. Right now, ESPN projects K-State to be a 5. NCAA.com, their bracketologists, even though they put out the bracket, so maybe this is a pretty major preview. K-State right now is a 5 seed. Because remember, I mean, women's basketball has been on pause for damn near a week because they had most of their conference tournaments were all last week. So I would imagine most of the field has already been determined by now. And K-State projected to be a 5 there as well. Just the possible destinations. You're looking at Oxford, Mississippi, Ole Miss. Columbus, Ohio could be a stop for the Cats. Which would be the home of course, Ohio State. North Carolina could be hosting. Those are kind of the 3 favorites right now of where K-State could be going. All right, we just got a couple of minutes left. Jimmy, do you want to lead us through a little Ask Us Anything as we wrap up the show? I kind of already asked you any Ask Us Anything questions that I had.
Yeah. My question for you, I guess, would be if you could add any single Division I sport to Kansas State, what would you add?
Okay, so if it could be any sport, because I have one for both men's and women's.
Yeah, we'll do one men's, one women's.
So I think it's very easy. Wrestling for the men, softball for the women. I would have rather gone softball than soccer.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion. I think there's a lot of really good talent around here for both sports. Kansas is a phenomenal wrestling state. I mean, right here at Manhattan High, they've won back-to-back state championships. They've had a handful of kids, of course, over the last few years go D1. And it's not just Manhattan. I mean, there's so many great wrestling schools here in Kansas. I don't keep up with softball as much. I just felt like that would have been a more popular sport for Manhattan.
At the very least, it'd be really fun to keep up with.
That's going to wrap it up. I'm heading out to Toyton Family Stadium. I want to thank Chris Swick across the glass doing a little training today. Jimmy Koppman getting better as he continues to learn the board. Mitch Fortner signing off. We'll see you at Koppman, 6:30 pregame. Cats, Utes, kicking off Big 12 play at Toyton Family Stadium.